Hello everybody, welcome to Cape Rugby TV Wednesday night, and we talk to you about what's happening in the world of West Brom's Club Rugby. We've got a jam-packed show for you tonight. It's Vix up against UCT and Marty's at UWC. Both teams played at the Donny Craven Stadium, so a lot of action and what we call a double header, so to speak. We'll be speaking to the coaches and captains. Big thanks to our sponsors that are on board with Cape Rugby TV. Dulux Maitland at number 30 Coburg Road. Score Energy Drinks. Well, Score, as you know, on board with West Brom's Club Rugby as well, especially with the Sevens tournament. Score Energy Drinks. And, of course, Colour Tone on board with Cape Rugby TV. So welcome to everybody that's watching tonight. We've got our special guests on, Jerome Parvater. Hello, Jerome.
Hello, JP. Yeah, I was at Stellenbosch on Saturday. I must say it's actually a good sight to see all the fields were full, the outside fields, lots of rugby inside. Yeah. So it's rugby's in full swing now, JP.
Well, I suppose you can do that when you've got 4 teams on the field. We'll talk about that in a second or so. Faisal Felton, manager from Western Province Rugby. Hello, Faisal.
Good evening, JP.
Nice
good to be
here.
Here. Yes, good to be here.
I see you wearing your Western Province Hubs top.
Hub, I think we've seen with his own eyes. There's lots of talent. The guys are their numbers. I think I'm the only guy that, or at least it's good to be in a situation where you've got more players than teams and that. So yeah, it's going very well.
All right, we're going to talk about that more during the course of the show, find out what the Hubs is about, and see if we can get some insight into the Hubs program. The kids, of course, playing rugby at school nowadays. Coming up on the show this evening, we'll be speaking to, as we mentioned earlier on, it's UCT against Marty's, and at least Vix against UCT and Marty's against UWC. Jerome was, of course, at those games. We'll be speaking to the Vix captain, Altus Momsen, Vix coach, Louis Blom, we all know him. Wesley Chetty, captain of UCT, in fact, was on last week, as well as Christian Estreisen, UCT coach. Both of them on last week. In fact, because it's university sort of 3-week season, we've got the majority of our coaches, but nice to be at the Donny Craven Stadium. And in addition to last week's coaches, including Adrian Parvater, Lionel Langenhoven, we'll be speaking to Johan Momsen, he's the Marty's captain, and Harvey's Fourie, the Marty's coach. So we haven't spoken to the Marty's guys for a while, so it'll be nice chatting with them and just finding a little bit more about their input into how the season is going, or at least the start of the season, and what their prospects are for the next couple of weeks. Of course, they will be breaking soon, the universities, so most of them squeezing those games in while they can, and fortunate enough to have the fields at their disposal. Remember, during the course of the show, I'll give you a chance to win yourself a case of Score Energy drinks, so make sure that you keep your mobile phones handy, and you can win yourself a full case of Score Energy drinks, courtesy of Cape Rugby TV. Our first game in the first half highlights Vix up against UCT. welcome back, everybody. Speaking to Jerome Parvater and Faisal Felton, who have joined me this evening. Incidentally, tonight as we speak, Marty's up against UCT, so keep a lookout on the social media handles for the latest scores. Jerome, looking at the first half there, well, looks like a fair amount of running rugby.
Yeah, it was, and UCT from the start dominated that game, and I think that Marty's did well because they played sort of with the young guns, played against Vix, and I think against UCT. Sorry, I think Marty's got a good plan. They're playing their youngsters because they prepare them for next year. So it's good to see that they play them, and I mean, that guys, they put up a fight. I mean, a lot of that guys were still under 19 last year. So it was good to see what they were doing, and UCT obviously dominated that game.
So do you think, you know, we had this chat last week after you watched the UCT UWC game. Looking at that game compared to this game, UCT, do you still feel that UCT is going to be what's your feeling right now on UCT? Is there a change in your impression of UCT, or are we still sitting in the same as last week?
No, I would say pretty much the same. It will be interesting to see the results later tonight. What happened there, because that will be a true reflection on where their season is going. But I think with the team that UCT have, that they can beat Marty's, but I don't know what's their plans or why they're doing that, because they're playing all these older guys.
So do you think that there's an improvement or a change? Let's take a look at the second half, and we'll come back to the opinions. Let's see second half. Well, welcome back, everybody. Cape Rugby TV. We're talking about what's happening in the matches between UCT and Vix over the weekend. Next game coming up, but we'll first speak to the coaches and captains. The next game coming up is Marty's up against UCT, UWC. Incidentally, tonight is Marty's against UCT. I know it sounds all very complicated, but right now there's a few weeks of university teams playing. Faisal, I'm going to go back to you, Jerome, in a second. You reckon Marty's is still the top side in Superliga?
Look, I think I always said for me, you know, it's good to have a team top that sets the tone. I think from all the clubs and that, and I think that's what sets Western Province, above the rest, is that you have a university like Stellenbosch who sets the tone for the others. Everybody aspires to beat the Marties and that. But, we chatted earlier on in that, and I think what's key with Stellenbosch is obviously, yes, they've got 2,000 players in that. But I always say to guys, you can only use 22 players on a Saturday. But it's how, they bring that 2,000 players together with the Corsace, which is key. And I think we chatted earlier on about, if you look at the Vics, it's made up of a lot of youngsters in that there. Average age at Stellenbosch for players, we looked at this scrum at stats is 22, 23 in terms of, the players that they have. And I think what Jerome mentioned earlier on, if you look, UCT, the question is a lot of the older guys that are in the team that's now playing in it. So I think you need to use what's to your advantage is the amount of players that you have, but at the same time is how you use those players.
But it's right in what you're saying. I mean, we were discussing this last week. I mean, we can't shy away from this. No one's going to shy away from this. Marties sets the bench every year. And that is the team that everybody wants to beat. If you want to win Super League A, you've got to beat Marties. I mean, you certainly can't go to sleep and think, okay, well, we've got this league because Marties is going to be the number one side. They have been the number one side year after year after year. And it's probably because of those basics that you're talking about. They've got a big league structure, big Corsair structure. They bring youngsters into the field. And I mean, there's certainly it looks like again Marties will dominate Super League A.
Look, I think JP, if you look at a university, if you look at our league, Stellenbosch starts playing 28th of July. They finish playing, the same as UCT and also UWC and that. They finish playing at the end of September. So within a space of about 6 or 8 weeks, they complete the whole season. They play Wednesday, Saturday. And obviously you need depth for that. That's the advantage that they have. But I think what's key with them is how they utilize their players and that in terms of the respective teams within the league. And that for me is key.
Okay, we're going to get onto the Marties game in a second. Marties up against UWC. It's going to be an interesting game to watch. But in the meantime, Jerome, UCT, Vix, UCT walk away there with a 45-29 win. Let's go back to what we were talking about in terms of UCT's performance. I mean, Vix is the sort of the Marties second team, but they're a contender in Super League A. And if you're looking at UCT's performance against UWC, it looks like there's a remarkable improvement.
Maybe their plan is to be competitive in the league, which is good. But it at the long run, I think it will hurt them because of next year's Varsity Cup. So you need to prepare now, and the best way to prepare is in this league because.
But do we have the same players? Do we have the same players that were playing in the Varsity Cup playing in the league?
No, they don't. They have the same
different
players.
Guys.
Like Marties have the same players. UWC have the same players. So I just hope for them, because it's also not good for Western Province. It backfire for them in the cup. Because all the guys who play in the cup are playing in their second team now.
Yeah. All right. Let's speak to Vic's captain, Altus Momsen.
Ja, dat was taaf geweest. Moest er weer goed geweest. Dus toen ja, Kolle was de kastspan gespeeld. Niet dat ons niet goed genoeg was, maar ja, op het einde hard doorgekomen, maar die score was in ons kant. Ja, het was voorrecht om goeie young guns te hebben die er komen. En zoals elke jaar die young guns wat die big foot en ja, speel altijd met goede young guns wat altijd die diepte brengt. Ja, dat is altijd lekker om te weten, je speelt in de eerste span en je kan jezelf meten in de eerste span. Ons weet altijd, ons kan het vat. Ja, ons zal met step up. Ons het niet verleden geweest, ons kan het doen. Ons moet dit jaar net weer wijs. Ja, zoals hulle in Engels sê, is 'n short turnaround. Het is maar moeilijk op je lijf, vooral van die ouens wat lank game gespeeld het. Maar ik denk als conditioning is goed, so ons kan het vat. Ja. Is verseker, maar ik weet UCT het vir hulle goeie 40 gegee, so ek weet ons is 'n game wat ons moet vat. Ons is beplan om 10 te kry in die 3 games voor die break, maar ja, ons kan obviously vandag gemaak het, maar ons hopelik volgende week 5 punte te kry.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so Altus Momsen is the captain of Vix there. Just talking about the fact that they're as confident as possible. How does that feel, Jerome, when you're the second team to Marties, but you're playing in the same league, but you're saying that you're going to win the league, but you're the second team? I mean, I don't quite understand the mentality. You have to have a kind of a switch-off approach, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's actually a good captain that talks like that. I mean, he keeps his team spirit up, and in rugby you don't want to say you're going to lose. So it's good of Altus to say that they still
win the
want
league.
to, and they can still win the league. And I know if it comes to that, the Harveys will take a few of their guys and change them. So they can do it.
Make sure.
Yeah, well, interesting challenge in terms of selection though. Every week they've got to go. So okay, I mean, you talk about bringing young guys through. They've got to bring guys through from the Vic side.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think every club before the start of the season believes that they're going to win the league, and that's what they aspire to. And I think that's what keeps everybody going. There's got to be some sort of aspiration in that. And I think what's key, like Jerome said, it's very difficult. With Stellenbosch, where the Vics. Obviously, the guys move up automatically. You're going to take, so it's very difficult for the Vics to get going and to focus in terms of the league and that there. But like I said, they've got the numbers, they've got the depth, and that there. It's a good position to be sitting in.
We've seen Vics and Marty's playing in the President's Cup final.
Yeah. No, Japes. I mean, a lot of people think that it's just a friendly game. But I mean, if you've been to some of these games, the guys climb into each other, and I think it's about proving themselves. A lot of those guys that are playing in the Vics want to prove that they should be there in the Marty's team and vice versa. It's not a it's not a you shouldn't be looking down on the guy that's playing in the Vics. I mean, they both play in the league. They both play against the same opposition, so they're both striving to prove.
You're going to try and give everything on the day and win out. We've been to that President's Cup. We're going to talk about that a little bit later during the course of the show, folks. There's of course not a President's Cup now. It's the league, and then it's the Champions League, or Championship League, that comes after the season. It's going to be interesting to find out. So make sure you don't go anywhere, because we'll speak to Faisal Felton tonight about some of the new, or at least the competition and league format. We'll also speak about the season, the field selection, as well as the Champions League, and that's going to determine the final winners of the league in Western Province Club Rugby. We'll take an ad break when we come back from the break. Well, in fact, we'll speak to Louis Blum now. He's of course a Vics coach, and then we'll go to an ad break.
Ja, teleurstellend. Ons wil graag beter gedoen het. Vic speel altyd goed teen die uitjies, so ek sou graag vir hulle sterk wil geknoop het. Maar gelukkig aan hulle het goed gedoen. Hulle was die beter span. Ja, nee, dis die Vic se werk is om blootstelling en bietjie amper opvoeding te gee aan die manne en die jong manne wat in die eerste liga speel teen ouer manne. Maar ons het genoeg talent hier, ons kan nie klaar nie, en die bestes moet vooruit gaan en opgaan. So hulle moet net kort in die Vics bly, dan moet hulle Maties en WP speel. Ja, dit is 'n groot impak gewees. Ons is bly om weer te kan speel. Dis nou maar veral vir die Vics, al hierdie ander spanne soos die 3 Varsity-Cup spanne het al 10 games gespeel. Is nou ons tweede, derde game. So ons is nog bietjie kontak fiks nie. So ons moet bietjie opvang, maar dis geen verskoning eintlik nie, maar ons sal weer reg wees as die seisoen nou aangaan. Ja, dan dis 'n moedwen dan. Vics wil graag in die top 6 eindig om in die play-offs te speel, so ons gaan vir liga punte.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Cape Rugby TV. We'll be taking a look during the course of or coming up next. Our next highlights, of course, Marty's against UWC. But before we go there, we did manage to speak to Wesley Chetty, the captain of UCT. As you know, UCT walked away there with a win over Vics, 45 points to 29. The universities are busy playing before they go on their break. And of course, on the 2nd of June, in about 3 weeks' time, the Western Province Club Rugby League kicks off. We'll be speaking to Faisal Felton. He's joined us on the show this evening, and Faisal will be explaining to us a little bit about the league structures, the competition structures, and the field selection. Quite a complicated, abnormal year, if you want to look at it like that, in 2018. Let's speak now to Wesley Chetty, UCT captain, after their victory over Vics over the weekend.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was always going to be tough, to come out to the Downey Craven, play a Vic side that's always strong. We saw a bit of footage in the week from their Marty's game, and they looked really solid. So it looked like it was always going to be a tough game, no matter what. It was always a banana peel for us. Yeah. Well, look, 39 minutes we dominated that rugby match in that first half, and then one silly mistake just before half time let them back in. And if you give Vics a sniff, they start running it from everywhere, and you start chasing shadows. So we let them back in there, which was silly on our part. In that second half, they started well again, and then I think we pulled it back in and took control of it. So yeah, geez, it's always a pleasure to come play out in the stadium. It's always a privilege, and we look forward to Wednesday. We're holding back nothing, got nothing to lose. We want 5 more points. We want to end the first half for us in our capacity at 15 out of 15 points and 3 out of 3, so that when we come back and we play the other club sides, we have a good footing to come out and win. Yeah, definitely. I think I think we had over 100, 120 players sign up in pre-season, and then there's no rugby, and it's a bit disheartening. But to see us field 2 teams, and I know last night our 3rd team played, our 20Bs played, so the guys are really keen to play rugby again, and it's great to have a double header out here today, UWC Marties, Vics UCT, and I think that's the way we should be going about it, and to catch up those games. So if we can keep on like this, I think we'll get the numbers out, and the support will always be big for club rugby, so it's huge.
Wesley Chetty there, folks, captain at UCT. Well, let's move straight along now to Christian Estrays, and then we'll speak about captains and coaches.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of hot cold from us. We were absolutely coming out blazing the first half with a comfortable lead. Then we let them in straight before halftime, straight after halftime. They came within 9 points, and luckily we could regroup and score a few quick tries again. So yeah, I think we scored some beautiful tries, some of the best I've seen this season, which is pleasing, but the second half performance probably not that pleasing. Yeah, I think we had more, almost like it felt like we had more space to play and more confidence to play. So I mean, the kind of passes and offloads we made is pleasing, but it really comes down to we're losing our concentration and we're letting teams back in. Yeah, it's in the varsity. It won't draw the crowds at the Varsity Cup, Marties UCT game draws, but it's still in the varsity. It's still a special game for both teams. So automatically the players are just more amped up and ready for it. We know it's a challenge. They've walked the league last year. They won the Varsity Cup. But it's nice to come and play Marties and see how much we improve and maybe we can get a win. Yeah, not for the first team. We were allowed to play our Varsity Cup. I feel that was a bit dusty, but we had the facilities and the grounds to play. For the rest of the club, we have it was disruptive, but we made an internal, call it the Ikes Premier League. We had from Varsity Cup players to under 20Cs, everybody combining in 6 different teams. It was well supported from the outside. Our pub was full. So actually, from this unfortunate drought, we made a massive success of it, and the players enjoyed it, and the club is full of enthusiasm after that.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. Christian Estrays, and of course, coach at UCT. Happy with the performance. A bit of a hot cold, he says there, Jerome, but still to put on 45 points. Only 2nd game of the season for them, or was it the 3rd game? But anyway, 45 points still. UCT will take a lot of confidence from putting on that amount of points.
Yes, they played well. They dominated the set pieces. The lineouts was good. The mauling was good. The scrums was good, and they scored some great tries. But also letting in, I think, also last week UWC scored some tries against them. So I think one big concern that they have to worry about, because Marties can score tries tonight, is to sort of, I hope they work on their defense, because they let in tries.
Well, if they're letting in tries and the defense is weak, then Marties is going to exploit that for sure. I mean, they make no mistake about that. You were just mentioning, and Christian was talking there about some of the internal league, or sort of a side league that they had before the season.
Yeah, what they did with all their players playing at UWC, at UCT, they sort of had their own league. They played every Wednesday, I think they played. They didn't play friendly games. They played amongst each other, like they made up their own teams. Yeah. And they played amongst each other.
Well, it's like having friendlies.
For a few weeks, yeah. Like
so basically, the other clubs were having friendlies,
and then they had a final of the 2 best sides. Yeah. So yeah,
Faisal, just quickly explain to us from Western Province point of view. During the season, we saw a lot of clubs travelling out of, or pre-season, a lot of clubs were travelling outside of Cape Town to go and play. Boland were helping out and so on. Why was UCT allowed to play in Cape Town?
Obviously, the club took a decision in terms of the moratorium, which was for City of Cape Town fields. Yeah. Obviously, from the university side, that's privately owned.
Okay, so private fields, yeah. Places where there was university fields or school fields, is because of the private field.
Because of the private fields. Obviously, They manage the fields themselves. They look after the field themselves. From the city side, it was a matter of the City of Cape Town overseeing and looking after.
So if they destroy the field, it's their problem.
That's their problem. That's it.
At the same time, if it happens to rain exactly on their spot, it's also to their benefit.
There we go.
All right, folks, we'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we'll take a look at what happened in the match between Marties and UWC. Welcome back, everybody. It's Cape Rugby TV. As you know, we're running a score competition where you can win yourself a case of Score energy drinks. If you want to win that a little bit later in the show, keep your mobile phone handy, 33090, and you'll be able to put yourself in the mix to win a case of Score. In case you forget that number, you can download the Cape Rugby TV mobile app. All right, so the app has been updated, in fact, with, of course, now as you know, the Score 7s was dominating the app over the last few weeks. But the logs, the results, the fixtures, of course, when their fixtures are full fixtures and finalized, will be up there. In the meantime, the university fixtures that are available at the moment are on the app, as well as the logs, and of course the latest result. The latest addition that we've added onto the app now are the friendlies. So if you want to find out anything about Western Province Club Rugby, then go to the Cape Rugby TV mobile app. You can download it on iTunes or on the Google Play Store. Get the app. And it includes the club logos. There's also a mapping system that if you want to find out where the club is that you're looking for, in case you're driving to a club field, then it'll be on the mobile app. So just go and make sure you download the Cape Rugby TV mobile app. In addition to that, there's lots of great quizzes there where you can test your club knowledge. There's a couple of our guest panel members who've got strange names on there. Some trick questions, and go and test your club rugby knowledge and see if you know the fields or know the club logos, as well as some of the guests that have been on the show. Right, it was Marty's up against UWC over at the Donny Craven Stadium. It was a bit of a double header as Vics were up against UCT and Marty's and UWC. Our next game highlights now. The first half highlights, Marty's, UWC. Put their strongest team in here.
Their strongest team.
Their strongest team. This was Marty's strongest team.
That was their strongest team.
They didn't perhaps put some of their strongest players in the Vics side to take on UCT.
No, the Vics were the young gun side. So no, that was their strongest side, and it was a tough first half for Marty's.
So UWC is really starting to show that they've got something extra this year compared to the last few years.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at the end score, it's actually not a true reflection of the game.
Okay, let's take a look at the second half between Marty's and UWC. right, Marty's UWC. Marty's walking away 33-9 there. Jerome, well, if Marty's is putting only 33 points on the board, then maybe the likes of False Bay or Hamilton's or Durbell or Bellar or one of the other teams can knock Marty's off their perch this year.
Yeah, you know, the sad thing for me, JP, is that UWC, they got 3 cards in this game. And that was the time when Marty's went to school.
Right.
With 14 men. So they play for what? More than 30 minutes. They play with 14 men on the field.
Yeah.
And they still did well. And it's I think the perceptions of the refs or people must change. Just giving out cards. You see it at Super Rugby, you see it everywhere, you see it. So I think they're killing the game with that, because it would have been a better game if there wasn't so many cards and only to one team.
Yeah, but I mean, what do you do there? The rules are the rules. Faisal, I'm going to bring you into the picture here. Jerome is saying we must have less cards. I don't know if is that what you're saying, Jerome?
I mean, say, JP, rugby is a contact sport.
Yeah.
Number one, it's a contact sport.
Yeah.
It's physical. Unless you're 100% sure of why you give a card, then give a card.
But that's like saying I've got a Ferrari that drives 300 k's an hour. So how can a 120 kilometer speed limit apply to me?
Yeah. No, what I really, JP, because it's gonna be. I think going forward in the league. Petty things.
Yeah.
We
so you want a referee who's going to allow more running rugby?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I promise you, people who were at that game, there was nothing wrong at that game.
Right.
It was a good game of rugby, and it's unfair. And if you give yellow cards, three cards against one team, I mean, surely, what did the other team do?
All right, we're turning this into a referee conversation. But yes, what we do want to see is running rugby, and I think the referees can, when there's room for interpretation.
Definitely.
Not when you've broken the rule and the rule is standing and you've done something illegal and the law says rock solid that you're guilty, then you must pull the card or you must give the penalty.
But I think on that point, James, I think it's also what Jerome says. We want to watch rugby. You know, we're there to watch rugby. By dishing out red cards, it's not stamping your authority. You know, it's just killing the game. You got one team playing 15, one team playing 14. What we're saying what we also encourage with the referees, we say to them, you need to stamp your authority, not in terms of giving cards, in terms of stamping authority, in terms of, the way you speak, warning players and that, explaining the games and
communication.
Communication more than anything else. I think that's what's key in that, and I think that's the type of message that we preach to the referees.
I think that's what Jerome is saying, is about the interpretation should be more in the direction of keep the game flowing.
Yeah. And the thing is, JP, if the ref is here, if the incident is right here, the ref is here, the third judge is there, the ref is here, then the third judge come onto the field and tell the ref what happened there.
You want the touch judge involved or not?
He can be involved.
He should be.
Well, you've got extra set of eyes.
But if the ref is here, that guy's on the other side.
Yeah, but I think on that point, Jerome, the referee is the sole judge, as you say, of time and fact. If the referee feels otherwise, the referee will always overrule what the touch judge, even if he feels now the touch judge made a wrong call and he's seen it, he will overrule the referee. The thing is, your ARs are there to support in terms of what the referee doesn't see.
But if the referee's not sure about something, then ask the touch judge.
Correct.
If you're confident that you've got the right decision, then
Correct.
stick to your decision.
Exactly.
All right, let's speak to Adrian Parvater, who's of course the captain at UWC.
Yeah, I'm very proud of how my teammates, we showed balls today. It's not easy playing with 13, 14 men against a mighty side here at Danny Craven. But we stuck through. It never went our way today by the scoreboard, but me personally, and from a team perspective, I'm very proud of our boys because we stuck together as a team. Our plan was to keep them in their half and frustrate them, and we did just that in the first half. Second half, we had a few silly errors with a few yellow cards and also a red card, but that's in the past. I'm proud of our boys. Yeah, I think we worked this week. We worked tremendously. They hard on our set plays, our scrums, our lineouts, kickoffs as well. We improved in every aspect that we lacked last week. It's just our finishing wasn't there this week. Yeah, we will give our all next week. It's a must-win game to end off on a high. Going forward through to our study break, we need to at least get 5 points, 4 points to go and go rest.
Very frustrating. Listen, it was a stop-start affair. Very frustrating to watch as a coach. Anyone that knows his rugby, the penalty count, the amount of set phases, set pieces that was there, it shows you the stop-start game, and it just was very frustrating. But listen, the guys played very, very, very well. We came here to get some credibility out of our performance, and especially from last week's performance where we didn't pitch up. I think their 33-9 is not a true reflection, really, and it might sound as if I'm making excuses, but anyone that was here today saw what we did, and we held a very, very, very strong Māori side up until the 65th minute, and they got a few breakaway tries when we were two players down. So it's very frustrated to see the play develop like that and evolve like that. So I'm not happy. Look, it's just as good as your last game, and planning is important and preparation is important. And you can't underestimate anyone. Yes, they got a hiding from UCT, but next week is another day, and it's the team that wants it more and that picks up with the right attitude will come out on top.
Right, there we go, folks. Coach Lionel Langenhoven, you can see he's clearly frustrated at the results there, and I don't think that there's any harm in that. Jerome, I think it's nice to see a coach express himself in the way that he's doing. He's not actually criticizing anything. He's not criticizing the referee. Yeah. He's criticizing the flow of the game, that is frustrating, and he's actually saying that if you were there on the night, it's not a true reflection of the game, 33 points to 9. But clearly the feeling here is that UWC put on a great performance. In addition to forget the score.
The players want to play rugby. The coaches work the whole week. They've got their game plans. They know what they want to see, and then just somebody comes and spoil it on the day, spoil both teams. Everybody wants to play. It's frustrating for both coaches.
Frustrating for the coach. But I think Lionel Langenhoven is doing a great job there with UWC. Yes, I think this year we will be paying a little bit more attention to the coaches and the work that they're doing at ground level. I'll speak now to Marty's captain, Johan Momsen.
Ja, dit was die telling is te gelukkig in ons guns, maar is glad nie die rugby wat ons wil speel nie. Baie gedaal tot op 'n vlak wat ons nie wil speel nie. Nie die bal gehou nie. En ons voel ons kan 'n baie beter brein van rugby speel as dit. Ja, kyk, ons kan nie sê die ref het calls gemaak wat nie na ons kant gegaan het nie. Ons moet adapt or die, né? So as die scrums nie werk nie, moet ons maar scrum maar die bal uitkom. Die lyn staan het ons gedomeineer gelukkig. Maar en verder het ons net nie mooi genoeg na die bal gekyk nie. Ons het 3 weke afgehaal na die Varsity Cup en ons het 'n groot genoeg squad dat ons ouens kan inkry wat vars bene het. So dit is nie 'n faktor nie. Ons is net nie hier gewees vandag. Ek glo nie, ons het USA in die vakansie, so ons speel 3 wedstryde daar teen die ander universiteite. Ek glo ons sal ons vorm kan hou en terugkom. Klaar rugby is altyd 'n ander vlak. Baie meer fisies en ons sal reg wees vir die challenge. Ja, ons sal terugkom maandag en dinsdag en werk aan wat ons verkeerd gedoen het. En soos jy sê, hulle het 'n baie sterk span, hulle het 'n baie naby span en dat hulle Varsity Cup was en sterk squad en ons sal moet uitkom en wys.
Nee, wat glad nie. Ons het net 4 spelers wat in die Varsity Cup finaal gespeel het wat vandag weer gespeel het. So dit is nie 'n verskoning nie. Ons het baie van ons spelers is weg, so die speel by die WP, Haker by die Griekwas, Loskakel by die Pumas en so ons is ontwrig geweest, maar die ouens wat hier is het heel jaar saam geoefen. So is nie verskoning vir my dat ons so swak gespeel het nie. Ons sal amper 100% moet verbeter op hierdie vertoning vandag om net met hulle te kan saamgesels. Hulle het net 4 spelers verloor na Varsity beker, so hulle het goed gedoen in hierdie jaar se kompetisie, so hulle gaan definitief 'n faktor wees in die klubliga vanjaar. Dit is maar altyd moeilik en om een of ander rede gee ons altyd nog 'n moeilike game ook daar as ons terugkom. Ons is lank af en die ouetjies moet leer, hulle moet deurkom om weer Varsity Cup te speel met hulle sekere aantal krediete kry, so as baie druk op hulle. En die ouens wat vir die Varsity Cup voorberei het, weet oefen al van verlede jaar die 11de September af. Desember het hulle net 2 weke vakansie gehad, waar die ander ouens het 6 weke. So dit is nodig dat hulle ook 'n bietjie afkry in die Julie vakansie. Maar ons sal so goed as moontlik voorberei in die tyd wat ons het, wanneer ons terugkom na die vakansie. Ja, dis ons doelwit. Ek dink dit gaan baie taaf wees vanjaar. Ons het heelwat ouens verloor van verlede jaar se span. Ons verlede jaar in die klubliga 'n baie goeie span gehad. Maar hierdie ouetjies sal bymekaar kom en ons sal groei as 'n team. So ek glo ons sal beter wees Woensdag aand en dan sal ons hulle ruk afgee en dan hard werk vir die tweede deel.
Right, so Harvey Fourie is of course the coach at Marty's, and as much as it was frustrating for UWC, it sounds like it was as frustrating for Marty's, saying that they played, both captain and coach there, Johan Momsen and Harvey Fourie, saying that they played particularly badly and could have done a lot better. Unfortunately, we're running a little bit tight in time, so I'm not going to go to the panel on discussion there. Folks, if you want to win yourself a case of Score energy drinks 33090, remember you can download the mobile app, the Cape Rugby TV mobile app on iTunes and on the Google Play Store. If you forget the number, just push the SMS icon, 33090, and just send us the keyword Score. If you want to win yourself a case of Score, SMS the word Score to 33090. Congratulations to last week's winner, Wayne Green. Wayne walks away with a case of Score energy drinks. Right, when we come back from the break, we're going to speak to Faisal Felton about the new competition format, the Championship League, all right, that comes after the leagues, the different venues, the difference between a player 22 and a player 23, something about the field selection, and also around registrations and the side of the field regulations. So make sure you don't go away. It's very important that everybody understands some of these rules and what's happening in the competition format and what's going to happen after the league. A lot of fun. The league starts on the 2nd of June. Back after the break. Right, welcome back everybody, Cape Rugby TV. Right, as you know, the Faithful. I've been calling it the Newlands Faithful, but no, it is the Faithful. But yes, it's the Western Province Rugby Supporters Club. So if you're a Western Province Rugby player or a fan, well, you should look at joining the Newlands Faithful. It's just R1,000 membership, and that gives you more than 3,000 rands worth of value. I was speaking to the guys at Western Province last week about all of the different value items that you can get, from the Vodacom SIM card Supporters Club pack to the Daddy's deals. You've got to go and join the Western Province Rugby Supporters Club, and you get an exclusive welcome pack. It's actually, about, as I said, valued at 3,000 rand. You pay 1,000 rand, you get a jersey, a cap, a membership card, a bonus gift, 500 rand Adidas voucher, and a whole lot more. Right, you get the DHL Stormers jersey, the brand new exclusive cap to the Newlands Faithful, or at least the Faithful, 500 rand Adidas voucher, as well as your membership card. So a whole lot of jam-packed items in your goodie bag. It gets delivered to you by DHL directly to your door. Go to Western Province Rugby, wprugby.com, and sign up there on the Faithful, for the Newlands Faithful. I keep calling it the Newlands Faithful, but it really is the Newlands Faithful, but it's the Faithful. That cap, if you get that cap, you're the only one that's got that cap. It's only for the Faithful. Like I say, R1,000 rand membership cost, and you get more than 3,000 rands worth of value. The jersey alone is worth 750 rand. The cap, I'm not even sure how much that is worth. 500 rands worth of gift vouchers from Adidas. You get the Vodacom SIM card with airtime on it, I think valued at 500 rand. So a whole lot of goodies in that value pack. So make sure that you sign up for the Faithful as soon as possible. Go to www.wprugby.com. The start of the league, the 2nd of June, Faisal. Firstly, let's start off with the basics, the fixtures. You guys have had some forum meetings lately where you called the various leagues to the Sports Science Institute and you discussed the rules and the regulations and the fixtures. Now, you went through the fixtures with everybody, but those fixtures are not necessarily 100% final yet.
That's correct, Topi. I think firstly we've got to understand this year's abnormal year, which means obviously with the drought, the April, May, where we would have started, we're sitting with 8 weeks that are short. So there's a number of challenges that we face with this year, is obviously the shortage of the season, and secondly in terms of fields. You know, certain clubs are struggling in terms of field access and that there. So what we've done is we've had a meeting with the clubs, which we discussed the fixtures, the competition, we went through it. Obviously, that is the fixtures according to what we've drawn up. But from the meetings that we've had Monday and last night, the clubs would have to have discussed with the city now. We've handed the fields over to the clubs in the city, where they now must ensure that the fields are ready and playable on
So
Saturday.
when you talk about handing it over to between now the communication starts, I mean you finalize. There's two components here. Number one, the fields might change, but even the fixtures might change.
So there might be clubs from the meeting where they've come back and they said, look, we can't play home games, we're playing all away games. There's certain games that they're going to be changing.
So the next question is, of course, the fixtures will only be official once it's loaded on the Western Province Club Rugby website.
Yeah.
Then we know that's it. That's the start.
Yeah.
Okay. The other component is the field selection. So even once you have selected a field, let's say, for example, SK Warmers is playing at Belhar. Yeah. There is still going to, when you talk about communicating with the city, you're actually talking about communicating, if I'm speaking correctly here, communicating with the facilities manager.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
So what happens, Dopey, is that we've handed over last night. So what happens now, the clubs will engage with the facility manager that oversees that particular field.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is actually scoring the field on a week-for-week basis.
The facilities manager is scoring the field, look at the quality of the field, the grass, the water, and so on.
That's correct, yeah. So they will score the field. They've got a percentage in terms of the way they work. So anything 40% and under basically means the field is not playable. 60% in terms of playability. But what it also tells the club is in terms of the usage of the field. So the amount of hours they can practice per week and the amount of playing time that they can have on the field. So that scoring is key and it's vital. So the clubs, from the meeting we had last night, they would then have to ensure that, we suggested to them that they meet up with the facility officer when they do the scoring, because that will affect the training time and match time on the field.
So if we have two teams that the date might stay the same, but the field could still change in the future.
Look, nothing is guaranteed. Everything is dependent. The weather dependent and that. Also in terms of fields.
But let me just go back in.
Yeah.
Let's say we've got a fixture that's scheduled according to the date structure, and the fixtures are fine. But in 2 months' time, you realize, hang on, the field is not keeping up anymore. Yeah. So the date might stay the same, but they could say on the day, let's see if we can find a different field, and that could happen. That's
correct. So what we've said to the clubs is that should you suspect your field's not playable, it's for you to contact the office. We will send out a referee or an official to have a look and look at the field. We don't want clubs to pitch up on a Saturday, pay transport, and the game is called off because the referee's called the game off. So the club's got to be proactive in terms of it's their responsibility.
Advanced preparation. All right.
That's correct.
All right. The next thing is, of course, the league structure is slightly different this year. There is no President's Cup anymore, but if we understand this correctly, if you have a league of 15 teams, 14 teams will, each team will play against every other team. You'll get to the end of the league, and then you're going to go into a knockout, what you're calling now the Champions League.
That's correct, JP. So very similar. Single round, you'll move into your knockout, which will be your teams that end in 1 and 2 will automatically advance to semi-final. 3, 4, 5, and 6 will play off in the quarter-final. So what's exciting about the league this year is that there's one trophy. There's no first-round trophy and then so
there's no confusion anymore.
There's no confusion. It's one trophy. So a team that's ended 6th on the log could possibly win the league.
But now this looks to me like Western Province is taking this club rugby, maybe a little bit of trial and error over the last few years, of which this is going to be the best format, or which is going to be the best format. But now you're going into a situation where you have the top 6 teams competing to be the champions of the Western Province club structure. Is this the top 6 in all of the leagues playing in the same format?
Top 6 in all Super League A, B, and C will play. I think what we've tried to do, move away from the conservative, single round, top guy in the winner, and that it's about creating excitement. I think what it's also looking at in terms of, your fans, what do they want? Everybody wants a final.
Yeah.
The idea is also your sponsors, what do they want? So we've taken a competition over the years and we've tried to develop it. And I think from my side, we've reached a point now where I think this is something which will create lots of excitement.
This certainly looks like you can now have a specific sort of tournament focus, which allows you to have entertainment, television, sponsorship. I mean, it could be a really...
Correct. I think the idea that we had over the years, we had the President's Cup in Newlands, and you'd find that the teams that were there or the fans that were there were basically in support of the teams that played. But I think with this competition now, if you're not going to be at Newlands or you're not going to be at the central venue where the semi-finals will be taking place, you're going to miss out because that's going to decide and determine, firstly, number one, who's the champion, and secondly, the teams playing in the final, that's your promotion. And then you're going to have another competition, which is the third and fourth playoff, which will determine who will play against the team number 13 in Super League A and Super League B.
So just give us a recap on that. How is promotion relegation determined this year?
So basically, the teams that end 1 and 2 automatically advance to the semi-final. So the semi-final, you've got 4 teams. Of that 4 teams, the teams that advance to the final automatically promoted. That will be teams 1 and 2.
So you already will know that which league you're playing in next year once the league structure is finished.
Okay, I'm not getting on that. So once you've had the competition at the end of the season, you've got you've advanced to the semi-final. Those are teams 1 and 2.
Yeah.
They will then advance to the final. So the teams that play in the final basically automatic promotion.
Right. So there we go. I mean,
but the teams
on the night before the game, or put it this way, just before the finals, after the semi-finals, those are the top 2 teams that are going to go.
Correct.
Promoted.
But the teams that
how do we know about teams that are going to get relegated?
So the teams that lose in the semi-final. So that will be team number 3 and 4. Okay. So they will then play out against each other. Will play against the team number 13.
Yeah. But in terms of the relegation structure. Oh, okay, right. You just explained it. But so we will already know team number 13, 14, and 15.
Yeah.
So the bottom 2 will be relegated. Automatically after the league, you'll know that you're relegated.
Correct.
And 13 will play against your promoted side.
That's correct, yeah. And I think what's also to note for this year is that it's single round competitions. So in your regions, you're having a single round and then we're stopping, because one of the challenges we had this year is obviously fields, which means we're trying to lessen the usage of the field, but at the same time have a competition. So after single round, the regions, the guys will stop playing, but the top teams in each three of the top teams in each of the regions will advance to promotion league. That's for promotion to Super League C.
All right, well, it sounds very exciting. I think this is a great format, having the league structure and then the Championship League.
Yeah.
It's not football, it's Rugby Championship League.
Correct.
All right. Right, Jerome, coming to you this coming weekend. It's Marties up against UCT. This is the old InterVarsity. I don't know if we can call it that, but it really is going to be a clash now. UCT's been saying that they can take the league. Marties, we know, generally can take the league. It's going to be a massive game.
Yeah, that's going to be the game. That's going to set the tone for sort of the season.
Yeah.
And as we said last week, the other clubs will know what to do and who's the team to beat. So tonight's game is going to be a tough one.
Prediction?
I think UCT.
You think UCT?
So obviously got to go, Martin.
Just to be
fair, the balance.
Just because of the team that UCT is fielding.
All right. Okay. You say UCT's got an experience pack on the field, but Marties, of course, have shown their dominance. Right, folks. You want to know my prediction? You can find it out next week. That's a wrap from us here. Jerome, thanks for joining us on Cape Rugby TV.
Thanks. Pleasure.
Faisal, great to have you here. We've got some insights into the league now, the fixtures, the field selection, and so on. And yeah, no, it's we definitely need to get more input from Western Province Rugby on the show on a regular basis.
I was going to say that thanks a lot for having me here, JP. I think now that the season is starting, hopefully I'll be here more often.
Yeah, definitely. We certainly know that you guys are busy, but critical that we have the union here on the show on a regular basis.
No, definitely. Thanks.
All right, folks, that's a wrap from us here at Cape Rugby TV. We'll see you again next week, same time, same place. Have a fantastic rugby weekend. Bye-bye.